All right, so this is a mod that I definitely can't remember where I first heard about it, and it's not my original idea, but it's one that I've kind of fallen in love with as a concept, and I've used it in my telly, but honestly, its applications are kind of endless and kind of genius. At least as far as I could tell, there's not really too many downsides to having it and using it, so might be something worthwhile for those of us who like to swap between pickups. Specifically, I use it for a Telecaster, and I use it specifically to swap from a single coil in the neck to a humbucker in the neck. The reason that I chose to do this is because I had this telly that I loved. It's one of my favorite guitars I've ever bought. It was only like $325, and it is a Franken telly for all intents and purposes. My old teacher made it out of random parts of tellies that he had, just kind of threw it together. I don't even think all of it is a genuine Fender, but there's something about it that I love. And I also love Rich Robinson from the Black Crowes, and I noticed that in a lot of the live videos that I would watch as a kid, I loved the sound of his Telecaster that had the PAF humbucker in the neck and the single coil in the bridge. And so I knew I wanted that sound, but I also knew that every time I tried to go buy a new Telecaster that I would think about modding that way, I never found one that I liked as much as this one. So I decided to go with this. Let's dive into how this thing actually works. When I first heard about it, it was conceptualized to me as if you were to take like an Ethernet cable or like an old phone jack cable, if you were born before the year 2000, and you would attach kind of the male end to, you know, probably the pickup side, and then attach a female connector to the wiring harness side. And the idea was just that like you could easily connect and disconnect those wires that run to and from the pickup and to the wiring harness, right? And the idea was that for something like a Fender style guitar or even some SGs, that you could preload a pick guard with pickups and have these quick change connectors, and all you needed to do was loosen the strings, unscrew the pick guard, and you could kind of slide out and swap between different pick guards and get completely different pickup configurations. And all of this would take at most 5 minutes. So this is what's interesting to me, and the reason why I think it's probably interesting to people even who aren't necessarily interested in this idea of swapping pick guards out, is that when I approached my buddy Breton, who runs Breton Guitar Co., I'll link him down in the description. So I approached him with this idea, and he was like, oh yeah, that's no problem. I've already been doing something like that for years with semi-hollow guitars. See, if you've never worked on a semi-hollow guitar, the issue is that if you want access to these volume pots or to the output jack or to the pickup selector, you have to unscrew it and then wiggle your fingers in there and pull it out through the F-hole, and it's kind of a giant pain to do so. So for him, he's had all the volume pots, the pickup selector, the pickups, etc. He's had them all on these quick change connectors for years, because for him, that way it's easier for him to work with these things. You don't have to constantly solder and unsolder and things like that. If a pot goes bad, if you want to swap the pickups out, you just unscrew it, find the connector, detach it, and you're good to go. So let's see how this works in action. So as you can see here, I've loosened the strings, I've unscrewed the pick guard, and now it's time to see the connection. So this is called a JST XH 2.54 millimeter pitch 2-pin connector. There's little grooves and notches here that make it so that it's easy to unplug, but also you don't have to worry about it coming undone. And as you can see here, there's a separate connection here. That's because the humbuckers that I had were initially set up to have coil tapping on them. So when I brought it to Breton, I asked if there was a way that he could preserve that. So he made this connector. In hindsight, it's not worth it, at least for me, but hey, at least you know it's possible now. So as you can see, I'm swapping over from the humbucker to the single coil, and once it's in, we'll go ahead and give it a listen. Alrighty, sounds like a Telecaster, right? So for proof of concept, we're going to go ahead and swap back to the humbucker and see how it sounds. Now, one of the biggest concerns that I had was, in case some of you don't know, you're supposed to use different values of pots for different pickups. Generally speaking, people prefer 500K pots for humbuckers and 250K pots for single coils. Reason being that 250K pots are a little darker, so they help the aggressive brightness that comes from single coils not be so aggressive and bright, and vice versa. The 500K pots are a little bit brighter, so they make it so that humbuckers don't get as muddy. That being said, I tried both a couple of years ago, and I found that overall, between all the different pickups that I had, I liked the sound that I was getting from the 250K pots the most, even on the humbucker, so that's what I have loaded in there. And now that we have that finished, let's give it a listen. So obviously I like this mod and I've used it for a couple years now, and while I mostly keep it on the humbucker, I have had a country gig here and there where I needed that typical telly sound, and so it was just a quick swap and I'm good to go. But I think there's something really cool here, and that's that if you're looking at a guitar like a Strat, you can see that not only are the pickups already on the pickguard, but the volume and the tone and the pickup selector are also on the pickguard, which means that if you put one of those connectors in between the output jack and the wiring harness, you could essentially have a bunch of different pickup configurations on one guitar. You could have hum-hum, you could have single-single, you could put 3 P90s in a row. I don't know, you could do whatever you want, right? And really experiment with things and kind of do some wacky stuff. I know for me, I've thought about doing it to this Strat because I don't really want to buy another Strat. I'm not a big Strat player, and I really like the way this plays. It is a Squier Classic vibe, right? And I've always picked up other Fenders because even though we all know that Squiers are great, especially the classic vibes, there's part of me that feels guilty for not having a Fender Strat because, like, it's a Fender Strat, right? But every time I pick one up, I can't find one that I like as much as this one. But anyway, I like the, typical 3 single coils on a Strat sound, but I've always wanted to make another pickguard and have it loaded as an HSS, or maybe even doing something like a Hendrix style setup where all the pickups would be upside down and this would be angled differently so that it kind of mimics how his pickups would have responded. I don't know, right? Possibilities are endless, and it's a matter of 5 minutes. You loosen the strings, unscrew everything, you're good to go. Let me know if you're interested in seeing an HSS video. I could, do a little demo video and show kind of how those connections work. And let me know down in the comments what you think about this whole thing. I mean, do you think it's ridiculous? Should I just buy more guitars? If that's your answer, that I should just buy more guitars, please send an email to my wife and plead my case. But for those of you who, like me, are not always flush with cash, this is a nice way to get some different sounds, especially for people who are starting out in their gear collection and trying to get into studio work and things like that. Anyway, like I said, let me know down in the comments what you think about it. Is it stupid? Is it awesome? Do you have any questions about it? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the channel. It's always good to see return faces in the comment section. If you're new here, please like and subscribe. Once again, my name is Mac Wright. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Go make someone else's day better, and we will see you around.